I just traveled 4,000 miles from DC to Amsterdam to Leeds to Wales to see for myself if there's a better way to learn judo. I'll be training with Cal Jones, who is, to my knowledge, the first person to use the ecological approach in submission grappling, has 31 years of judo experience, and a master's in advanced coaching practice. My name is Bren Commentary. I've been teaching movement professionally for 12 years, grappling for 9, and I have a master's of science in kinesiology. I'm a certified performance and sports scientist and strength and conditioning specialist. I teach people how to develop their bodies and move skillfully across all contexts. Now, I did 3 months of judo many years back, and despite a ton of footwork drills and having always emphasized stand-up work in over 9 years of BJJ, I've never been able to successfully do judo skills like throws and foot sweeps against skilled resistance. So today, we're going to see if Cal Jones is the guy who can teach me a real hip throw. But I'm going to have to pull it off against someone who actually does judo. Then, Cal is going to put my teaching skills to the test. By the way, since we're both using the ecological approach, we're not going to teach or drill any moves. Cal's class starts with a very short warm-up. Then we're immediately into working with full resistance in a task where the wind conditions change as Cal calls them out, between on top and bottom, which are self-explanatory, and hold down, which means you have to pin your partner's back on the mat without being caught in guard.
Essentially, you end up forcing people into bad positions. So if you're like a good player against someone that's new, the chances of them putting a hold down on you are very, very, very slim. So how many opportunities am I going to have to practice escapes against someone that's crap? Not many. Right. But here, if I called underneath, I'm putting you into a pin. We're going to have one hand on the inside of their arms and one hand on the outside of their arms, holding the belt. If you pick your partner up, you get a point. If your belly button is facing them, you get a point. If your belly button is facing away, you can score yourself 5. So if I just come in and go, hoo-arg, ha ha ha, I get a point. If I can turn my hips away and lift them up, it's worth 5 for me. We're going to start with this really restricted gripping placement, and we're going to open it up as we play, so you can start exploring different gripping patterns. Both attacking. Jimmy, go. Can we pick them up? Bellies in. Nice for 1. Oh, I bet, yeah. 3, 2, 1. If I'm trying to pick him up, but his belly button is away from me, this is nigh on impossible. All I'm going to try and do is compress that space. I can do it by either stepping into him or pulling him into me. But I need to make it so that my belly button and his belly button are closer to each other, and ideally I want my belly button below him. One of the things we can look to explore, sort of stepping in close with a level change, and then getting your belly buttons off. Same exact principle if I'm turning. If I'm rotating away, I'm lowering my weight, attaching him to me, and raising my weight. The next little practice we're playing, we'll start with sleeve lapel, but you can transition to whatever grip you want. If I want to come here to try and lift him, it's perfectly fine. If I want to come here to try and lift him, it's perfectly fine. But that relationship between my center of masses and his center of masses is what we're exploring. Get close, pick him up, take him for a dance. Is legal in judo, but at the moment it's just this pickup. We're going to explore that. We're going to contextualize it in a bit. For the moment, go on. There's like this much space. How do you think? Yeah, maybe change your arm placement. So instead of staying with this arm in the way, what about if you put a big high hand over the top? Here, that was keeping you at bay. Are you going to be able to lift him with this much gap between you? What could you do? Yeah? You have 10 more seconds, guys. There's like this reciprocal relationship between me turning my back to try and throw you and you just picking me up if I've done a bad job of it. So he's in, he's turning, but he's not broken my balance, right? So try and lift me. From here, if I just level change, he's in a world of trouble, right? I can start countering him because I'm still in a really strong, stable platform. If it does the same thing, but like pull a sleeve or push my head or, oh Christ, oh, now I'm in a position that I'm no longer strong and stable, right? I've had my posture broken and misaligned. For him to fit in and lift now, it's hard, oh, crikey. I can't pick somebody up from here. I'd have to start resetting and rejuggling where I'm positioned. By the time I've done that, he's moved out. So if we are looking to get a turny backy lifty throw, I don't come in like this. Like I'm begging to be picked up and smashed through the floor, right? I just need to create some sort of position where I can start lifting him and punishing him. Simple. In the next game, we're playing the same thing, but you can put any other throw in. If I can get my partner to the floor with anything, huzzah, I get a point. If I can pick them up with my belly button facing away, it's still worth 5 points for me. If I can take them all the way over and throw them by picking them up and getting them to the floor, it's worth 10. Closer, your life will be easier. Yeah? Nice, well controlled. Yeah, I don't know. Shit's a lot easier. Here's what you should have done. Nice, good hook. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We're just going to explore how we can create these breaker balances. We're going to play the floor as lava. If I can push Aaron into the red, I get a point. If he can reverse the position and push me into the red, he gets a point. We can also throw each other, right? Any point I throw him onto the floor, I win, or any point he throws me onto the floor, he wins. The advantage I have is it's very difficult for him to move backwards without losing. So I know where his movement's going to go. He's going to circle or he's going to push me away. More frequently, he's going to push away. So if he starts pushing into me to create this separation, I can start exploring, creating these off balances and attacking and throwing in this direction. The second we're hit, I win.
You're too good at this game.
Push back then. This is giving me my win, right? He is walking in through the open door where I'm stood behind with a club in my hand. I'm asking him, do you want to lose? Do you want to lose? No. Then don't lose. Which then gives him these turning opportunities and costs him his balance and his posture. Where's that action? We're going to do what we're calling an easy in, hard out task. You're letting your partner throw you. You're not resisting the throw. It is passive. The second we land, our transition phase goes live. So he's turning his brain off and thinking about lunch. That was quick. I can come in. I'm going to throw him. The second he lands, he is trying to win and I am trying to win. He's not just... He might want to try and regard. He might want to try and take me down. He might want to try and turtle. He can explore whatever defensive strategies he wants to then launch attacks. I want to try and control the takedown so I can then engage more favorably and win. Our throw has to have fidelity. We need to throw them as if we were trying to throw them for real. We're compromising some of our representativeness. They're not being thrown as they would in competition, but we get more repetitions of this transition phase. Win by submitting or by pinning. Probably back corner would be best for you, I think. And live. That's it. The second we land, we're live. We've become a bit open with the type of throws we're selecting. So for the moment, I'd just like the next two to be hip throws only. So it has to be something where we're rotating over our hip bones. So we're picking them up and turning our belly button the other way. These sorts of positions, or 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 I don't care. As long as you're turning your back and lifting them up and flipping them over you. Nice. We're going to go for hard in, hard out. So you're both trying to throw each other. Whoever wins the throwing exchange, we're just going to presume the referee isn't very good. So even if it's the best throw the world's ever seen and it's an obvious hip-on, the referee hasn't scored it. They were looking the wrong way. We need to get our transition on point so we can get in to dominate that transition phase effectively. If you can catch a turny backy lifty throw, I'll be very, very proud of you, but you still score no points. But it doesn't mean don't explore it. Catch them with something else, that's fine. We're still transitioning into the pin or submit.
To find the way from drilling endless reps that never stay. 9 years of grappling, still I couldn't see how to make these throws work for me. Turn your back and lift them high, belly button to the sky. Feel the center, feel the mass. This time I'm gonna make it last. 4,000 miles to understand. Sometimes you need a If your posture's broken, you're in trouble. Pick them up, don't be subtle. Easy in, hard out, we play. Transition, transition all the way. From the throw right to the ground. Finally, I hear that sound. Turn my back and lift it high. Belly button to the sky. Found the center, found the mass. Made it work, made it last. 4,000 miles and now I know how to throw a proper throw. Finally, I can do judo.
Pretty well done. So we started exploring that relationship between us turning our back and their posture not being misaligned and how we can be counter-thrown. We started exaggerating the affordance of when we can fit in and do those turny lifty throws. Then we started contextualizing what happens if we are successful or unsuccessful with that as an attack type. And that transition into newaza, can we control it and get more favorable positions?
I've been convinced of ecological dynamics for quite a while now, seeing it work well in the research and for myself. But this is another clear example where even with a few dozen judo classes, I had gotten absolutely nowhere. And in just one class with Cal, I was able to hit an Uchimata for the first time on a judo brown belt. That makes perfect sense when I give you the added context that in the judo classes I'd done before, we spent so much time on break falls and footwork drills without a partner that we legitimately never did full sparring. All the science aside, of course it would take forever to learn how to do something against resistance that I was never getting during practice. One very simple way to understand the ecological approach is that we treat the environment you perform skills in as extremely important. And it's completely different when you have an opponent who is trying to throw or submit you and an opponent who is trying to let you do a move. Now, for the real test, I'm going to teach a no-gi judo class on foot sweeps, which is an area I've always struggled to teach. I've already spent 2 years hardcore studying ecological dynamics, so we'll see if I've wasted all that time reading countless books and papers and making this amazing documentary for no reason, or if I can actually teach. And I'm not allowed to edit a single word of Cal's critique.
First game, we're gonna have it really open so we can just see what we've got. We're gonna work from standing somewhere. Maybe I get some sort of takedown. We're going to call it significant advancement. As the takedown is happening, rather than just saying, like, I've won, you keep playing, I keep playing. If significant advancement keeps happening, if I'm moving towards a submission, we keep going. You've got like 10 seconds to hit a submission. If you keep moving forwards in that 10 seconds, you can keep going. If during that time, though, stuck for 2 seconds, we reset. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Restart, restart. I want it super strict, like really significant advancement. Very nice. Keep going, keep going. Try to get up, try to get up, try to get up. Good, restart. Nice. Good. Good. Restart. Good. Very nice. Good attempt. Good. Good, excellent. Get out of that. Now we're gonna go easy in, hard out, but with foot sweeps. Using our lower leg somewhere on their lower leg to either block and then move them over it, or to, like, as they're in the air, to move base of support out from under them. Be a little careful with things where you could jam your partner's knee in. I get the foot sweep. As he's going down, we start. His job, get back up to neutral or anything better. Good. Good, very nice. Good, restart. Again, we're doing the significant advancement, so that was perfect. That's a win. That's already over. Get out of that sub. Good. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. All the way up. Very nice. One. Good. Three, two, one. Oh, keep going, keep going. He's moving. Yes, very nice. This other leg can't touch the floor. Other than that, you can do everything. For the player with two legs, you can only do foot sweeps. Sometimes when people get foot sweeps, they're just surprised that it happens. And they're so surprised, the other guy just gets back up before they've noticed. There's different like levels of that, where one is I'm following him, I'm still engaged. But if I land in front of the legs, this is not really great, right? So if I can land around his leg somewhere closer towards the back, this is going to be a lot better. You're going to have a lot less work to do later, especially if you're trying to work towards that sub like we are. 3, 2. You can still use that leg that's not on the floor. You can use it to attack. Nice. Nice. All the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Stack, 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 stack. Oh, very nice. Good, reset. Good. Try to get back up. Quick, 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 quick. 3, 2, 1. Good. I'm totally stealing this concept from Cal. Someone's back to the wall. We can modulate a little bit. You're just close to the wall. You're not actually touching it. We can modulate the distance a little bit if it starts getting like, you know, it's so easy to get your partner to the wall every time. I'm going to get 1 point if I can get my partner to touch the wall with any part of his body. And he can do the same thing to me on this wall. So if he manages to turn me, get me to touch that wall, he gets a point. If either of us gets a takedown or a back take of any other kind, it's 2 points. And if you get his foot sweep, 3 points. Same thing, significant advancement, but very strict on the just a few seconds. Don't let yourself just get pushed to the wall. Like really push back. And that will, one, like make this harder. I don't want you to actually win by pushing, you know, your partner into the wall, right? I want you to get the foot sweep, which is going to be easier if they're really pushing back. Oh, nice. That's it. Good. Nice. Oh, very nice. I think the reality of this is foot sweeps are hard to hit. And so a lot of the utility doesn't come from just hitting the foot sweep, but it comes from using them as setup. So this game now is going to start off of a failed foot sweep. So I'm going to go for something. He's going to step out. That's our easy in. From there we go. You can use that to set something, anything else up, right? So a classic is a foot assist to get to a single leg. So any sort of foot sweep, any direction, he's stepping out, stepping away, trying to recapture his balance. What can you get out of it? Three, two, one. Three, two, one. Good. Nice. Good. Three, two, one. Whoa. Nice. Three, two, one. Three, two, one. Good. One thing I'm seeing, you're trying to get this leg back.
Yeah.
As you do that, try to take advantage of that action. What's happening a little bit is you guys are taking advantage of stuff, but it's like you do the thing, they take the leg out, you wait a quarter second, and then you try something else. And that's just generally probably going to be a little less effective than if we try to immediately take advantage, especially when we're starting with it already. Good, try to go straight to the next thing. Good. Nice. 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. You survived. You gotta hit that so quick, you can't just sit there. This is why we leave submissions open. I think the status quo right now is people are playing these games and they're takedown only. To be fair, takedowns are the most effective thing you can do from standing, but then you play it and then you're doing things where you're gonna get caught because you're doing it in a certain way. And the best way to learn how to not get caught is to get caught, right? So if we leave that in the game, we can now attune to that information. And it's really good on both sides. You get to learn how to catch the guillotine in different ways, and they get to learn all the different ways how to not, Now we're just starting with any sort of kazushi, any sort of off-balancing connection. So we get something, and then we're going immediately. Again, try to capitalize. We're giving you a huge advantage by starting this off balance. If you let your partner kind of like react to that, and then, they're starting to settle and get their base back, whatever they, their good posture, all that. And then we try to attack. It's going to be a lot harder than if we try to take advantage immediately. Same sort of rules, solidify the position, try to advance, try to get to that submission quickly. You've just got a few seconds. So that kazushi, you can get any grips you want. Try to get new, different grips. Try to do something you haven't done before, but don't spend too much time thinking about it. Good. Reset. Resisting immediately after the kazushi. 3, 2, 1. Good. Good attempt. 3, 2, 1. You committed to it, which is like, oh, 3, 2, 1, good. Three, 2, 1. 3. There you go. Three, 2, 1. Good. If you haven't done any foot sweeps, that's the only way you can get a takedown, is through a foot sweep of some kind. If it isn't in your wheelhouse currently, I want to force you to explore that newer area. And if that is in your wheelhouse, then you can use other things. You can use it to, combine with other attacks, play dilemmas. You have all the options. Start standing, same thing, significant advancement once we get to the floor. If it's taking too long, we'll just restart. Good. Good. 3, 2, 1. Good, good. And of course, for everyone, try to get the foot sweep if you can. You see it, go for it. Good. Two, 1. Good, good. 3, 2, 1. Good. Good. Time, reset. 15 seconds. Good. Last game is an open round. You get 1 point for a takedown of any kind or a submission, and you get 2 points for a foot sweep. The whole thing's open now, so if you're on the ground, you keep going. Oh. Good attempt. Very nice. Good. Great work, guys.
I really like this setup. I thought it was a really effective way of practicing a similar set of moves, but without it becoming repetitive.
It was amazing. One thing I really liked was having the one-to-one time. You have an objective measure of someone else saying, you're not going to get anything there. Time to redrill it. It was so nice having that one-to-one and be able to know that I'm getting the most out of the lesson.
Thank you again. Yeah, I really appreciated the aspect of constantly transitioning, following the practice sequence that we're doing.
You know, you guys are good at the transition because Cal is like, I'm sure been very aware of this for a very long time. One thing I noticed with most judo people, certainly that I've rolled with, is they're really not good at that transition.
Yeah.
Like what I tend to find when I was a white belt and I'd roll with judo, we'd had some judo black belts that would roll with us. It would kind of be like, okay, they're gonna throw me, but they can't hold me down. So like I could just sweep them after they throw me. I would literally do that because it was such a dramatic weakness.
I remember Cal, like up into competition, sort of found that as like a gap in the market with judo. That how we kind of won competition and matches was fighting that as soon as it's gone to the ground, taking action of that, because a lot of times they would just treat you like Play-Doh. As soon as they dropped it on the floor, they couldn't be bothered picking it back up. So that's essentially how groundwork on judo was for many years.
It just seems intuitive. If you're going to throw someone, you've got to be aware of where they're going to land, and you've got to be on them absolutely straight away. Actually, that one-legged game was really quite fun because it put you at such a disadvantage, and you realise just that when you do get it right, you're in control like from that moment.
I felt good about that class. The games flowed well, students did great, and it seemed like they enjoyed it. But Cal sees things that I don't. Time to find out what I missed.
The majority of the practice tests I thought that you were using were really, really effective. You had the clear link between the thing we were doing and looking at phases downstream. Your tasks that you designed that were looking to try and exaggerate specified information. So the single leg task and the task against the wall I thought were really, really good. So they can start to pick up on what is the variable they're trying to coordinate their action based off. You'd reduce the complexity of the task for the single leg one, and you'd had a really strong reaction by putting them close to the wall. I think if I was being extremely nitpicky, I'd have probably put them a little bit further away from the wall. I think because they were so close.
Yeah, because they did keep getting...
There wasn't space for this player to utilize this person's push. So I know I can kind of control them because they can't turn and throw me. So if it were me, I'd have put them maybe 1 mat length in front of the wall and played the exact same task.
Sorry, like a whole meter?
A meter.
Or?
Yeah, probably.
Oh,
I think I'd
okay.
even go that far.
Wow.
So that I can start to look to control you, so that the push then has space for this player to turn and execute attacks in.
Yep.
Otherwise, anytime I try and turn to throw you, or I try and open up the space behind me to execute an attack, I'm already in the boundary. So probably up to a meter, but maybe 70 centimeters, something like that. Then maybe it might have been interesting to fracture it so that you're doing the takedown games with all the transition stuff, but it might have been nice to do like an open guard task. So something that is a discrete, we're going to have a look at once we have successfully done this, we're going to saturate the options available to you for these passing things. So they're fresh, and then I'd have remarried them together. So you essentially did, but you didn't have a distinct and discrete passing guard phase, which I think I might have added in.
Sure.
But again, that's dealer's choice.
Sure.
Just quibbling a little bit. Yeah. Other than that, I thought that was really cool.
Great.
It was nice. And the important thing, transitions. People were transitioning from one discrete phase into the next.
Yeah, I'm also very big on this.
Yeah, super important. And again, you ended up in a position that you weren't over constraining. You'd left the options and availability of certain tasks, certain affordances open to people, so that their behaviors were constantly, they had fidelity in what they were doing. What we don't want is for them to have a solution that the second submissions are added in, or the second that something else is added in, you can just strangle them and it wouldn't work. What was the other one? You're starting with a foot sweep game, and then after the foot sweep,
easy in, hard out.
Yeah, so it's almost an easy in, hard out. So for the foot sweep, and then they can step off, and then we start. I think what might have been a useful add-on after it would be a game where
As
you just
a next game.
Yeah, as a thing that sort of cascades downstream, would be to play a practice task where if you can throw them with your first attack, it's worth 5 points. But if you don't catch them in the first attack, any other thing you do is still worth 1. So that the reaction you get for that first attack
then you get a real reaction.
is really exaggerated as well.
Nice.
So anything that I'm doing is then actually really tightly coupled to their evasive maneuvers. It just keeps the fidelity a little higher again. But other than that, I thought it was awesome. Really well done.
Thanks, Cal.
Top job.
Appreciate it.
Nice one. It's great to have you visit.
Yeah,
really nice to have you.
This was a ton of fun.
If you want to learn more about Cal and his approach to judo, check out our Monster podcast here, his Instagram, or go train with him in North Wales. He offers consultations and works with coaches in all areas. If you want to go deeper, get practical, and apply all the science to learning BJJ, I've created a comprehensive online course based on my master's research in ecological dynamics. The full course already contains over 4 hours of carefully designed tasks and sparring footage covering every major area of BJJ, from close guard to entanglements, from standing to submissions, so you can develop a comprehensive grappling skill set and feel for yourself how the ecological approach can be applied skillfully and how dramatic the advantage is. Each task builds on the previous ones in nonlinear ways, with clear win conditions and concise language so that you can run these games effectively without a full lecture between each round. And unlike the status quo for ecological jiu-jitsu coaches right now, these games overlap and connect very intentionally so you don't develop any holes in your game. This course is essentially everything I've learned about applying ecological dynamics to grappling, structured so you can either train with a partner, small group, or use it as a complete curriculum template. You can find it through the link in the description below. Who should I train with next?